Hi everyone, it's KFK's Creative Home. Welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to make this wreath that's kind of a natural color, but we're also adding in some red. So I added my pipe cleaners to the frame in this format. The outer edge are about 1 3/4 inch from the crossbar, and the inner one is like right in the center. Okay, alright. So I did it all the way around in each little section of the wreath frame. So the first thing I'm going to do is add in some red deco mesh. This is 10 inches wide. And I start by gathering my edge. And I'm going to be zip tying that down to the wreath frame. I should have started that. Oh, I'm saying right here, make sure your ends of the mesh are pointed down so you get a nice poof when you finish without the ends sticking up. I started on the outer edge. I don't know why I do this. I happen to do this quite often, but you really, to make it easy on yourself, start on the inner section, just so you won't have to reach over it and then worry about the mesh getting snagged on itself or on the other pieces of mesh. It makes it a little bit easier, but because of the poof method we're using here, in the end it's not going to matter because we're going to be reaching back and forth through this mesh. Okay, so I got that attached right before the first little pipe cleaner, and now I'm going to go around, span out 10 inches of mesh. Decide I need to stand up so I can see what I'm doing better. So I'm going to pull out 10 inches of mesh, making sure that these edges again are up under that little poof I'm creating, and then I just add it in. I don't do a whole lot of twists and turns with this because I'm going to come back and add something else. So in the end, it's going to get enough twists and turns to, of the pipe cleaners to hold everything in. If you're worried about yours slipping out, then give it 2 or 3 spins. I only do 1, especially for this wreath because I'm going to do quite a few layers. Okay, so first I measure out my 10 inches and I add it into the pipe cleaner, and I got all the way around the outer end. I got one more to do here. And then I'm going to cross over, and I'm sorry I didn't make this like a real clear picture, but I take it from the outer end, bring it to the inner one, and add it into that pipe cleaner so that it's stationary. And then I'm going to start my 10-inch poofs on the inner ring. So yeah, where my finger's holding it, that was the first one. And you can kind of see it now on the left, how I went from the outer edge to the inner edge. So same thing again, 10 inch, pull out 10 inches, and I measure my 10 inches on the cutting board underneath. And that is one of the reasons I love having these cutting boards underneath, not only for just cutting things, but quick measurements when you're working. Okay, so I'm going to finish going on around here. Oh, I forgot to say, with the way I added the pipe cleaners, you ended up with, because it's 2 in each section, you ended up with 12 on the outer ring and 1 in each section on the inner ring, means there's 6 on the inner ring. So you still have 18, which is kind of the normal number. There's usually 10 and 8. This time, because I was doing the poofs, I figured I could only have 6 on the inside and it still would be okay because everything's going to be so full. So I finished and I cut my mesh, and now adding a zip tie here, you can clearly see, and pulling that tight so that the end there doesn't start fraying, and a few weeks from now you see frays of mesh sticking up in your wreath. Okay, so I have clipped that with my zip tie tool, and now I'm ready to work with, first I got to poof these out. Now to poof these out, I take my hands and spread it out, as you can see, side to side, but making sure that the edges on each side remain tucked under. And that's why I'm kind of feeling it as I'm pulling it out, because I want to make sure those ends stay tucked under. I do not want them to be visible if at all possible. Okay, so I'm going to just work my way around here, and then we'll be ready for the next step. This is a no fray method because in the end we're not going to have any cuts except for the very ends, and those are getting tacked down. So all you will see is cute mesh without a whole bunch of pieces sticking out. which can be lovely when you're making your wreaths. All right. So now I'm coming back with a second piece of mesh, and in this design we're going to use 3 different pieces. Okay, so same thing again, starting by attaching it, and this time I'm remembering to I'm starting on the outer edge again because, and I'll explain why. Doesn't really matter, but it's easier to follow what I'm doing by starting on the outer edge this time. I do not want all of my mesh to be in the same place. I don't want a row of red and then a row of this one and then a row of the next one. So I'm going to be going back and forth in this wreath form. So the first thing I'm going to do, once I get that secured, I'm still going to do a 10-inch poof. So I'm going to try my best to measure it out, even though all this mesh is in the way. So once I get my 10-inch point, I had started on the outer edge. Now I'm twisting it in on the inner ring. Okay, so I'm going to go outer, inner, outer, outer, inner, outer. And then I'm going to cross over to the next outer in the next section. So that was the inner one. I'm going back to the outer ring. And because the next inner one is so far away, I decided to just go to the next section by clicking, by attaching it to the outer pipe cleaner. I'm going to show that again in the end, exactly, the steps from the back. So if it's not making sense, you'll see it again. So I am on the outer one, I am coming down to an inner one, and then I'm going to measure out 10 inches, go back out to the outer one, and then crossing over into the next section, I have to go to an outer one because that next inner one is too far away. So it's outer, and you see here this time the red mesh is on the bottom because I really want this to be intermixed, so I fluff it up and put the red on top. So one time you'll have the red underneath, next time you have the red on top. Again, I went from outer to inner, going back to the outer, and when I'm crossing to the next section of the outer, this time I'm going to have the mesh going underneath the red, if I remember to do it. Okay, so I attach it, and I forgot to do it. Okay, so I'll come back and fix that a little later. You'll see. I know I got off at one point. Okay, again, outer ring, inner ring to outer ring, and when I cross to the next section, I'm going back to the outer ring, and let's see if I remember. Yep, put it up under the red mesh this time, and then attach it to the outer ring. Okay, so I'm going to keep doing that with this mesh. I might as well let you watch because I'm almost finished this with this mesh. If you're enjoying the video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share with others. And if you're not a family member, consider becoming one by hitting that button, subscribe button, and ringing the bell so you can be notified when I release new videos. We are now doing Christmas in July, and this wreath form will be available this wreath will be available. I will post one for sale, and then it will also be available as a kit. So you're going to get the 3 different rolls of mesh, the pipe cleaners, some zip ties, and the ribbons that we'll be using I'll show those, a little later. If you want a wreath form, you can request it, but it will make the box a lot bigger, and it really adds a lot to shipping. So it's usually cost prohibitive, I guess is the correct word. It's better to just go to Dollar Tree or to one of your local craft stores and get your own wreath frame. Because like I said, it makes the box a lot bigger, and then that can almost double the amount for shipping. So the wreath form will not be included in this kit. Alright, so I got those in there, and again you can see where I started and where I finished is in a whole nother section from where I started the red, because I don't want to have so much mesh under those pipe cleaners that I can't finish adding my future mesh. So Now I'm going to go back now and fluff everything up, and at some point you'll see where I realized on that outer edge where I try to go over and under, I missed it. And yeah, you just take your time, fluff it out side to side again. And as I'm doing this, sometimes I was pushing down the red, so I made sure I go back and fluff that up sometimes too. The wreath I made last week, the candy cane wreath, that will be also listed in the Etsy shop today. I had so many problems getting that listed. First, the Etsy had locked me out because my credit card had expired, and so I had to get a new card and get it loaded. And then the next thing happened was the wreath kit did not fit in any boxes I had. So I ordered some boxes, and I don't know what happened. Amazon did not ship it. It was supposed to receive it the next day. They did not ship it, so I canceled that order, ordered another one. It wasn't supposed to arrive until Tuesday, but it arrived yesterday. So I'm glad I canceled it and just went with another company on Amazon. Okay, so that'll be available too. I'm getting everything listed today. So we got that section in, and now I have this other roll of mesh here. And the reason I decided on this poof method, as you can see, this mesh, I was just so afraid it was going to end up unraveling, but actually it was some good mesh. It wasn't, I wasn't working with it cut, but even the starting ends weren't all frazzled like I thought they would be. So I got to get in here and figure out how I'm going to attach it. This mesh is going to go around just like the first one. I'm going to go connect it to all the inner circle, just go straight on around, and then I'm going to connect it to all of the outer circle. So I'm first zip tying it down, and now I've got so much mesh it's hard to see. I chose 3 mesh for this because both of those beige ones are very thin. You can see straight through them. So I knew I needed to have quite a bit of mesh on here so you wouldn't be able to see through to the frame. I like the way the colors blended together too. Alright, so I am going to measure out my 10 inches, go to the next inner pipe cleaner. This time the mesh, you can see, is on top of the red. Now the next one I'm going to go measure out my 10 inches, go to the next pipe cleaner, and then this time I'm going to tuck it underneath the red. And again, this is just so I can get everything. Why didn't I tuck it underneath? Oh, I tucked the first one underneath. I'm sorry. So that one is on top of the red. So here's the next one. I'm attaching it. I've measured out my 10 inches and I'm pulling the red on top. And again, like I said, this is just to mix it all together so I don't have one straight line of red and one straight line of beige. So in the end, you get to see all of your mesh and everything nice and full. Looks great. And you don't see straight through to the reform. Alright, so the last one I did went on top. This one I'm going to attach. And then I'm going to pull the red. There we go. The red on top. So when you look at the wreath, some of this beige with the red and white stripes will be more toward the center, with the red facing more out of the facing you on the wreath. And then sometimes you'll see this red and white stripes facing you. Alright, I made it. I am now at the last one on the inner circle. I'm going to get it attached. And then once I do that, it's really difficult to see, but I'm going to go straight across to the closest outer pipe cleaner, and I'm going to just secure it. And like I said, this is where you get to see it's so much mesh going into those pipe cleaners. So that's why I didn't start and stop it in a pipe cleaner. I start and stop the mesh with a zip tie. Alright, now we're on the outer ring, and I'm kind of going to do some of the same thing here this time. I measured out, still always doing 10 inches. 10 inches. I attached it to the next pipe cleaner, and fluffed it up. This time I'm attaching it to the NYX pipe cleaner, and then I'm going to pull it toward the bottom and pull the red up. See how that is? The red is up now this time. The previous one, the red is toward the bottom. Again, no rhyme or, well, there is a method that I was doing step by step, one under, one over, just to get it all mixed. You don't have to follow that method. You can come up with your own thing, or you can just fluff it, and then when you finish, try to kind of maneuver things back and forth so that the mesh gets all intermixed and you don't have a lot of the same mesh sitting side by side. Okay, let me finish going around this outer edge, and then we will talk some more. Don't forget, this is available as a kit. Oh, I'm almost finished. This is available as a kit in my Etsy shop. The link will be below. And as soon as I finish this video, I will be posting it. And then I will start immediately working on the kits, getting those loaded to Etsy. Because now I have all the boxes I need. Yay! All right, let's finish this round. And then we'll go to the next step. So we have finished this round with that mesh. I have clipped it, and now I'm going to secure it to the Wreath frame. You have to move some of this mesh out the way now to get your zip tie down in there, and you can secure it to the form and clip it with your zip tie tool or with some scissors or whatever you have. See how nice and full that's looking? Okay, let's go again. First we did the red, and we went just from pipe cleaner to pipe cleaner, inside and outside, right? Just went that way. Then with the beige and white mesh, we started on the outside and went outside to inside to outside, then cross to the next section, outside, inside, outside, cross over, outside, inside, outside, cross over, and then we did it all the way around. And then the last one, we just went around again on the inside, and then we went around again on the outside. And each time with this second and third mesh, we were sometimes putting it over and under the red so that we get a nice intermix of the mesh. Okay, so I'm just showing that sometimes it's over and sometimes it's under. And I think it looks great. I like these colors together, and I like that it's so nice and full. And I love that you don't see, you know, I'm pulling it apart there, but normally you will not see the Wreath frame underneath. And then we're going to add some ribbon, so it's really going to be looking mighty cute. Okay, let's get ready to move on to the next thing. All right, I have these two ribbons from Walmart, and I just fell in love with them. They had the red and white and that neutral color with the red. And then I have these two from Sam's Club, and most of it has that neutral effect, but I chose this mesh with the red and white, and I was trying to show you here, I don't think you can see it. That red and white has a little bit of glitter, a little bit of sparkle in it. So the red and white stripe ribbon here that I chose from Sam's Club also has a little bit of sparkle and glitter in it. So that'll kind of pick that up. I'm going to do 12-inch tails, and I'm going to be cutting them all at 12 inches. And then I was trying to decide here, but I'm going to do 12 inches because my poofs are 10 inches, so that should be enough to come up over the mesh a little bit. I'm going to do the accordion style fold here so that I can just go back and forth and get my 12-inch cuts for my tails. Like I said, I'm going to be doing 9 of each ribbon. And if you're looking at this and saying, what is she doing? Don't worry. I'm going to come back again with the next ribbon and cut them one by one so you can easily see exactly what I'm doing. If you've been working with ribbon for a while, you probably get what I'm doing here. Just folding it back and forth, measuring out 12 inches with each fold, and that way in the end you've already got some folds going on, and when you clip the edges to dovetail them or fishtail them, whatever you call it, you're cutting through more than one at a time. So now that I got those together, this first end I had to clip a little bit because it was a little past the 12. I fold them in half. I go down on the fold about 1 inch and cut up to the open section, and then that dovetails my ribbon. Again, if you've never done this dovetail, you go down about 1 inch, you fold it in half, go down about 1 inch and cut up toward the outer. On the fold, you go down about 1 inch, cut up toward the outer. Okay, let me finish this and then we will be back with the next ribbon so I can show you step by step. Alright, to show you step by step, here's another ribbon. I am measuring out 12 inches and just cutting it, and I'm going to need 9 of these. So you just, to do them one by one, this is what you would do. Use your ruler or whatever method you need to use to measure out your 12-inch pieces. And once I have 9 of those done, yeah, I'm counting, I think this is the last one. I'm going to put them together. I'm doing 2 at a time. And then I fold it in half, again fold it along the lengthwise, go over to that fold and cut up toward the open edge. So here you can see that folded edge there. On the folded side, go down about 1 inch and cut up toward the open edge. One more time, down about 1 inch, cut up toward the open edge. And that's how I make my fishtails on my ribbon. So let me finish the rest of these and we'll be ready for the next step. So with all of my ribbon cut, now I just got to decide which ones I'm going to pair up. I thought this red and white stripe would go better with that neutral one, so that I wouldn't have too much red together, and then that the beige and white and red would go better with the red and white. In both cases, I'm going to put the, I guess I call it the plainer ribbon on the bottom just to make these folds. In the end, it's not going to matter. They're going to both show up. But I tend to put my more vibrant ribbon or my printed ribbon on the top. I am just putting my matches together and folding them in half so that when I'm ready to add them to my wreath, I will know exactly where that center point is on my ribbon tails. So I'm going to go ahead and get these folded up and I'll be right back. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is I take my ribbon, find a center point and kind of cross them a little bit, and then we're just simply going to start adding it to each pipe cleaner, and we're going to alternate what we add. This is where I give it about 4 or 5 twists because I'm finishing up. I don't need any more of this pipe cleaner. And then I still clip what's left and tuck the end in so that you don't get stabbed by that wire. I am starting on the inner ring again, so I don't have to be reaching over it when I'm doing the outer ring. So the first one, you see I had that red and white stripe with the beige and red ribbon. This time I have the Merry Christmas ribbon with the red and white long stripes. Again, and I'm going to alternate, so the next time it'll be the red and white candy cane stripe with the red, white, and beige long stripes. Okay, going back to the other one. Remember, lay it out, kind of cross it a little bit, gather it at the center, and then just add it to your pipe cleaner, and then shape your tails a little bit so that they're nice and curled. Have a nice curl to them so they're following the shape of the mesh. And you also want to separate them so they make a nice little X shape. There we go. Let's do that one more time. I'm going to take the ribbon, lay it out, and cross it, gather it in the center, lay it into your next pipe cleaner, and clip the excess. Then spread them out with a nice little X and shape, and curve the ends under to follow the curve of your mesh. So I'm going to do this last one and hang in here for a minute because I want to talk about what I do with the very next one. I want my Merry Christmas to be readable. So, I mean, as much as possible, because you can see here the way these are facing, they would be, usually when I'm putting it in, I have the words facing me. This time, because those are kind of going out to the sides, at the very top, I'm going to make this the top of my wreath. I'm going to make sure the Merry Christmas is still facing down. Usually, like I said, I have the words facing me. Now I have it facing away from me so that when the wreath is hanging, those words won't be upside down. Don't want that to happen. I don't, because I'm a little nitpicky about stuff like that. So I've added them in, and here we go. You can see now, for the most part, the one on the left is kind of off to the side, but for the most part, they're readable. Nothing is like completely upside down. And I could even change the shape of that X on the left hand side so that the words are even more readable. Alright, just one of my little pet peeve things. I try to make sure that the directional ribbon is going in the right direction, especially when it's words. Now I'm going to just start adding the tails to the outer ring, and this time once I add them, I'm still going to alternate, gather at the center, add it into the next pipe cleaner, but as I do it, I'm not going to open the ribbon as wide to make an X. It's just going to separate a little bit, but both of the tails are going to be facing down like a V shape toward the table. And you can see how the first one really looks like that. Here's the second one. As I'm doing this, I realized, oh, they can't see what I'm doing, so let me go this direction. So that's why I end up using the same ribbon again, because I'm actually on the other side of that red and white stripe. As I'm doing this, you'll see that the top gets kind of mashed in a little bit, so each time you're adding in, I go back and fluff it up as I mash things in, or you can do it at the very end, but just if you do it while you go along, you don't miss things. But if you wait till the very end, then just make sure you hit each spot and try to fluff things out as well as possible. So again, I gave it about 4 or 5 twists, tuck that in back into the wreath, and fluff out my tails. Okay, let's finish going around here, and then we have some. I'm going to show you the back and how I attach my hanger, and show you some pictures. Now again, if you're enjoying the video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share with others. And if you're not a family member, consider hitting that button and ringing the bell so you'll be notified when new videos are released. Also, if you didn't hear me say this before, this wreath is available, or I'm going to list it in my Etsy shop as soon as I finish getting the video uploaded. And then I'm going to also be listing it as a kit so that you can make your own if you like this wreath. And this is the kind of kit where you could start with this and then go get yourself, depending on how much you are in the candy canes and stuff, you can go get yourself a few candy canes and add them into the pipe cleaners before you cut them, or some red and white, those things that look kind of like candies or lollipops, or a lot of little red and white decor out there that you could add into this wreath if you wanted it to have a little more dazzle to it. I tend not to add too much because I like my price point to stay a little lower. And when you start adding all that stuff, you quickly get, you know, 150 and up because stuff is expensive. But if you make it, or you can catch it on sale and add it in yourself into your kit, it can, you know, save you quite a bit. Okay, let me get this finished and share some pictures. I thank you for spending this time with me, and I'll be talking with you again real soon.